What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my full card breakdown and predictions for UFC Singapore. We have Max Holloway going against the Korean zombie Chan Sung Jung.
I need all the wins, yeah. Harder than all that is. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
And we are back for another full card breakdown and prediction video. This week we are breaking down UFC Singapore. We have a 13-fight card, and I'm actually really looking forward to this card. The only thing I don't like is the fact that this card starts like 5 o'clock in the morning Eastern time, so that's going to be rough, but you know, you got to wake up. It's Liang not fight week, so I will be up nice and early, but it is a very, very early start time nonetheless. But it's a card that I won't be missing. I mean, I think this card is really stacked from top to bottom, and definitely looking forward to watching it. So yeah, before we get started, a couple things. I do want to shout out the winner for the Significant Strike contest last week between Aljamain Sterling and Sean O'Malley, and shout out to Johnny Smith, and he had the guess of 44 significant strikes. The correct answer was 42. Congrats, Johnny. If you can hit me up on Twitter or Instagram with your PayPal or Cash App, I will get you your winnings there. And yeah, I've recognized Johnny. Johnny's been around for a while. You can tell, you can click on somebody's profile and see how many times they've commented, and you know, this guy is one of the biggest commenters on the channel, so I love seeing that. Appreciate you, Johnny, and I'm glad you were able to get the win there. Great guest there. Other than that, check out the Dana White's Contender Series content that'll be posted throughout the week as well. Great card for DWCS Week 3, and I'm going to be heading to Nashville for a wedding. I will be there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I'll be back Thursday, so I'm recording this like very early in the morning. I'm very tired, but you know, it has to be done. I didn't want to wait till like Thursday to get this out, so all the work has been put in, ready to hopefully give some picks and maybe some good bets this week. I have one bet thus far, and you might be able to tell which bet I do have by the breakdown, by the way. But overall, I think it's going to be a solid card for betting and a very, very solid card for watching as well. I'm really looking forward to this card. So if you guys could do me a favor, like the video. Do appreciate all the likes, and also subscribe to the channel as well. I'll be putting out content throughout the week. Dana White's Contender Series, Prize Picks, DraftKings, betting, you know, breakdown. I mean, you name it. Just a lot of content. So make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out on all of that. All right, I say we get into it, and we're going to start with the first fight on the card. And this bout order is obviously subject to change. It typically always does. But we have Garrett Armfield going against Toshiyami Kazama. We will start with Garrett Armfield, who is 26 years old, 5'6", with a 70-inch reach. He's 8-3 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Toshiyami Kazama, this guy's 26 years old, 5'7", with a 69-inch reach. 10-3 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. And by the way, look at that picture of Toshiyami Kazama. Just a great photo there. Great headshot for Toshiyami Kazama. But we'll take a look at the odds. We see that Garrett Armfield is the favorite. He opened up at -210, currently -145, and then Toshiyami Kazama opened up +180, and he's currently sitting at +125. So some money coming in on Toshiyami Kazama. And yeah, so Kazama had, I mean, probably the toughest fight, you know, that could possibly be made in his debut against one Rinya Nakamura, and he got sparked in like 60 seconds. But you know, Rinya Nakamura, we'll talk about him later in the card. Nakamura is very good, obviously, and Nakamura would do the same exact thing to Garrett Armfield. So I don't fault him at all for that loss to Rinya Nakamura. It was a very tough matchup, and yeah, he got sparked out of there. But I think this is a very interesting matchup because Toshiyami Kazama, I was actually pretty impressed with this guy prior to the Rinya Nakamura fight. Like, this guy has really good wrestling, really good grappling, and he's a guy that just kind of like sticks to you like glue. He's going to go out there, he's going to take you down, he's going to take your back, and he's going to submit you. Toshiyami Kazama is very dangerous on the mat, and it's actually interesting because that's actually what Garrett Armfield has struggled with in all of his losses. 3 losses for Garrett Armfield. And in those losses, he's either getting taken down, you know, multiple times, or he's getting submitted. Garrett Armfield's been submitted in 2 of his 3 losses. Obviously, he came in against David Onama on short notice and lost by second-round submission. He did have some moments early, but did get submitted nonetheless. And then he got submitted again back in like 2020, 2021. And then he had a decision loss to Ronnie Lawrence. So, yeah, I mean, this is a style that Armfield definitely does struggle with. So I'm kind of I want to say I'm like shocked he's the favorite, but I'm kind of a little surprised he's a favorite. And I see why money is coming in on the Kazama side, because Kazama, he does have a path here, which is the wrestling, which is the grappling. And another thing we got to mention is we are going to be in Singapore, right? So Garrett Armfield going to have a very, very long flight over to Singapore. And there's a couple of those guys, they're going to have a very, very long flight. What's that going to be like for them? So just another reason I'm kind of leaning the underdog side here of Toshiyama Kazama. I'll forgive him for getting sparked by Rinya Nakamura, and I think this could be a very winnable matchup for him. So give me a Toshiyama Kazama to win this fight. I'll take him to win by second round submission in this one. Moving on, we got probably my least favorite fight on the card. Sungwoo Choi going against Jarno Aarons. We got Sungwoo Choi, 30 years old, 6 foot with a 74.5-inch reach, 10-6, and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Jarno Aarons, he is 28 years old, 5'11", with a 73-inch reach, 13-4-1, and 2-2-1 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds. We see that Sungwoo Choi is the favorite. He opened up -235, currently -160. Jarno Aarons opened up +200. He's currently +140. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of sucks with Sungwoo Choi. This is a guy that, he started his career out 0-2, losses to Movsar Evloev in his debut, obviously a very tough fight, and then he lost to Gavin Tucker, another very tough fight. So he started out 0-2, and then he kind of takes a step back in competition, goes, wins his next 3, and I thought, man, this guy Sungwoo Choi, he's looking good. I think he's kind of maybe turning a corner in his career. His striking looks really good. He came out there with that blonde hair, knocking guys out. The takedown defense looks very improved as well. Yeah, I thought this guy, Sungwoo Choi, could be a serious problem. Training at a good gym nowadays as well. But he's on a 3-fight skid at this moment. Losing to Alex Caceres in a fight where he dropped Alex Caceres in the first round, and then there was that illegal knee to a grounded opponent there, and then ends up getting submitted in the second round. And then against Josh Kulabau, all-out war, exciting fight, but he got dropped twice in that matchup, loses a split decision. And then he goes out there against Michael Trizano, goes out there, gets dropped twice, loses by knockout in the first round to Michael Trizano. So I'm not sure what's going on with Sungwoo Choi here. This is a guy that's on a 3-fight skid, but I think he's much better than his 10-6 record indicates. His striking's very good. He has good power. The takedown defense was an issue potentially in the past. I think he's definitely fixed that. So yeah, I think Sungwoo Choi's a very good fighter, but he is on a little bit of a skid here. Jarno Aarons, I'm just not a big fan of this guy at all. Made his debut against William Gomes in the UFC. A very, very lackluster fight, just like every single William Gomes fight is just very lackluster and boring. But yeah, Jarno Aarons on the feet, he's going to be at a volume disadvantage, a power disadvantage. And Sungwoo Choi, the one thing that's kind of been hurting him lately is his chin. He's been knocked down 4 times in his last 3 fights. But he's not really going to have to worry about that against Jarno Aarons. Jarno Aarons is probably going to be looking to get this fight down to the mat. And at that point, I think Sungwoo Choi has shored up his takedown defense enough where he can stuff the takedowns, keep on the feet, and outpoint Aarons across 15 minutes, landing the bigger shots, the harder shots, more volume. But yeah, I see why my money's coming in on Aarons just due to the fact that, Sungwoo Choi, I mean, it's kind of hard to trust him at this point. I mean, he's going out there just dropping the ball consistently. But, I mean, this is a fight I think he should win. So give me Sungwoo Choi to win this fight. I'll take him to win by decision. And like I said, probably my least favorite fight on the card. Moving on, we have Rolando Badoya going against Song Kanan. We'll start with Rolando Badoya, who is 26 years old, 5'11", with a 75-inch reach, 14-2 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Song Kanan, 33 years old, 6 foot, with a 71.5-inch reach, 19-7 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Let's take a look at the odds here. Yeah, Badoya opened up -175, currently -310. And Song Kanan, he opened up +150. He's currently +260. So yeah, a lot of people very high on Badoya. People typically seem to like these guys that lose fights. But he made a very, very good account of himself in that loss against Chaos Williams in a fight where a lot of people expected him to get knocked out, and even I did. I thought Chaos Williams probably knocks him out, and we'll talk about why I thought that. But yeah, I think his stock rose a ton in that loss. So Rolando Badoya, it's funny. I remember taping this guy before the Chaos Williams fight and just saying this guy has the worst striking defense I've ever seen in my life, and I still stand by that. And I was watching his fight with Chaos Williams back, And it was funny because he was getting hit in the face and smiling back at Chaos Williams. And Joe Rogan was like, Rolando Badoya is doing a very good job defensively. And DC starts busting up laughing, saying, yeah, his striking defense is getting hit in the face and smiling. I mean, his striking defense is a serious concern. Luckily for Badoya, this guy has a brick for a head. Massive head. I mean, probably pound for pound biggest head in the UFC, and he can eat a shot. This guy's chin is no joke. I don't think anybody's ever knocking out Rolando Badoya. I mean, this guy can probably get, smacked with a shovel and he'll just smile at you. I mean, this guy's chin is incredible. So, yes, his striking defense is awful. He has no striking defense. He maybe wants you to hit him in the face. It seems like he likes getting hit in the face, but he's one of those guys that just has a ridiculous chin. So, yeah, I mean, maybe the striking D could potentially hurt him in the future, but I don't see anybody knocking him out anytime soon. And Kanan, he actually does have power, but in terms of how this fight plays out, it's going to be Badoya who is younger. It's going to be Badoya who's much more durable. It's going to be Badoya who's higher volume, more power. So although I'm not in love with the minus 310 price tag, it's just, how does Kanan win this fight? Is he going to knock out somebody with a brick for a head? I'm not sure. As far as I'm concerned, you're not allowed to bring baseball bats into the octagon, and I think you probably need at least a couple baseball bats to knock out a guy like Badoya. So give me Badoya to win this fight. I'll say he knocks out Kanan. Yeah, Badoya was landing some big shots on Chaos Williams in his debut. And Chaos Williams as well has a great chin because he was landing some of these big shots, and I'm like, man, if he lands some of those on Kanan, I mean, Kanan's probably going down. So I like Badoya to win this fight. I like him to win by knockout, minus 310. It's getting a little ridiculous, but a lot of hype on this guy after his loss. Moving on, we have Yusaku Kinoshita going against Billy Goff. We'll start with Kinoshita, who is 23 years old, 6 foot with a 71.5-inch reach, 6-2, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Billy Goff, 25 years old, 5'10" with a 72.5-inch reach, 8-2, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Yeah, closely lined fight here. One of the closer lined fights on the card. We have Kinoshita currently like minus 145, minus 140-ish. And then we have Billy Goff around the plus 120, plus 125 range here. So, yeah, for me, this is a fight that is kind of tough to call. I mean, Billy Goff, I do remember taping him for the Contender Series last year. And it was funny because the one thing that sticks out in all of Billy Goff's fights is this guy in the first round. I mean, he's either getting wobbled, he's getting dropped, he's getting 10-8'd in the first round. I mean, this guy gets himself into some like terrible spots. I mean, he's getting hurt, dropped badly in spots. But I mean, this guy has that dog in him. I mean, this guy, it's really hard to put him away. But his striking defense is a concern. The chin could be a concern. I mean, this guy's getting dropped like it's his job. But like I said, he gets dropped. He recovers very well, great recoverability, and he's able to go out there and get dropped, get back up, and finish the opponent himself. And it was actually funny because on the Contender Series, within like 60 seconds, his opponent lands a big head kick, drops Billy Goff in typical Billy Goff fashion, and Billy Goff recovers and ends up getting the finish himself in the first round, late first. So I mean, that fight like played out exactly how I thought, right? Like Billy Goff gets hurt, he gets back up and finishes you. So Kinoshita's gonna have to be wary of that. But Kinoshita, this guy is super dangerous. Like the thing that scares me for Billy Goff is I don't know if the whole like Homer Simpson approach, the whole getting hurt thing is gonna work here against Kinoshita. Because if Kinoshita is landing clean on you and hurting you, I don't know if you're getting back up. So, I mean, it's a big concern, but it's a weird fight because Billy Goff, if he's able to survive a couple of these early exchanges, like get on top, like Billy Goff's ground game is pretty solid. And we saw, Kinoshita in his debut against Adam Fugit kind of get exposed a little bit in that debut there. But it's a tough fight to pick, in my opinion. This is one that I've definitely been struggling on, but I think I'm going to go with Kinoshita to get that early knockout. I just hate how defensively irresponsible Billy Goff is, and I hate the fact that he is getting hurt early on, and getting hurt by a guy as dangerous as Kinoshita just doesn't seem like the best recipe for success. So, at the very least, I think Billy Goff is getting dropped. It's just, will he get back up from getting dropped against, Kinoshita, who hits like a truck, and I'm not so sure he does. So, give me Kinoshita, first round knockout, but this guy, Billy Goff, is absolutely a dog. Speaking of a dog, we have Liang going against vsAldrich. If you guys don't know, I am Liang Na's #1 fan. And I did buy a Liang Na wig. I'm not going to put it on. I'm recording this very early. I think it's a little too early to put the wig on, but I did post a video on my Twitter of me in the wig, and I might wear it Friday as well, because like I said, I'm a big Liang Na fan, and we'll talk about why. But she's taking on vsAldrich. vsAldrich, she is 30 years old, 5'5", with a 67.5-inch reach, 11-6 and 3-2 in her last 5 fights. Liang Na, look at her. By the way, just look at Liang Na there. Great head of hair on her. You gotta love to see it. Anyway, she's 5'5", 67.5-inch reach, 19-6 and 2-3 in her last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. So vsAldrich was actually minus 1,000 for a while, and then she's currently she's actually minus 1,100 like a couple of weeks ago, and she's currently minus 575. Some money coming in on Liang Na. Liang Na was a big giant dog, like plus like 570, plus 800 at one point, and she's currently plus 410. I think money's coming in on Liang Na just due to the fact that, you know, vsAldrich probably should not be minus 1,000 over anybody. But yeah, I had fun going back and rewatching all of Liang Na's fights, and you can watch all of them in the span of like 20 minutes, because her fights do end pretty quickly here. I'm a big fan of Liang Na, like I said, but she's not great. It's hilarious watching her fights. I remember her debut with Ariana Carnelosi, and I get chills, you know, talking about it to this day, because it was the first fight card in a couple years, you know, with a full crowd. And the first fight of the night was Liang Na, Ariana Carnelosi. And Liang Na went out there, drops Carnelosi in the first 5 seconds. There were finishing opportunities on both sides, submission attempts. I mean, it was one of the best first rounds I've ever seen at strawweight. It was a phenomenal first round. But at the end of the first round, Carnelosi gets on top, starts pounding away, and at the end of the first round, Liang Na is just laying there exhausted. She is so tired, she can't get up, and Song Yadong, who was in her corner because her other corner had visa issues or something, Song Yadong was there, and Song Yadong had to walk in and pick up Liang Na and drag her to the corner. She was tired. The ref came over and looked at her on the stool. The ref probably, honestly, should have stopped the fight. Like, she was exhausted. The ref, for some reason, let her go out there in the second, and she got, ended up on bottom, and it was over very shortly after. And that's the style of Liang Na. She leaves it all out there. She's going to give you a good 2 minutes, and then she's going to completely gas out. I mean, in some of the, like, there was this one fight I was watching, and it was the first round. She was gassed out. She was flopping to her back. She was pulling guard. She was, getting really beat up in there. I mean, she has 6 losses, and I think she's been finished in all those losses. I mean, she's a unique fighter, and she is coming up a weight class here for what it's worth. She typically has fought at strawweight. So, this should be vsAldrich all day, but Liang Na is going to have like a 2-minute window where if she is able to get this fight down to the mat, she could potentially submit vsAldrich or even, TKO her on the mat, because Aldrich has been finished twice in her career. So Liang Na is going to have some opportunities, but it has to be early, because if not, she folds. She's a good hammer, the worst nail I've ever seen in my life. She is a terrible, terrible nail. She does not react well to punches. She quits in there. She gets tired. And I think vsAldrich is going to get her first finish in the UFC. And my official prediction is like a corner, like vsAldrich is going to win due to Liang Na not physically able to go out there and fight in the 3rd round. I think vsAldrich wins by second round knockout due to exhaustion, because Liang Na is going to be exhausted in this matchup. So rooting for Liang Na, but I don't let my biases get in the way. And I hope even when Liang Na, does lose this fight, hopefully they give her another shot. She's like a Daniel Da Silva, where she is going to lose every fight, but at the very least, she's going to go in there, and it's going to be fun, and it's going to be hilarious as well. So I'll take vsAldrich 2nd round knockout due to exhaustion, and this fight should be very funny, and I will be enjoying every single second of it. Let's go, Liang Na. I spent $30 on this wig, so I hope they give her at least another fight, but if not, that's $30 down the drain. But give me Aldrich KO2. Moving on, we have the closest line fight on the card. We have vsZaychuk going against Chidi and Njokuani. We have vsZaychuk, 28 years old, 6 foot, with a 74-inch reach, 18-6 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Chidi and Njokuani, 34 years old, 6'3", with an 80-inch reach, 22-9 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. So we have a very closely line fight. Like I said, we have Chidi and Njokuani, plus 105 dog. vsZaychuk, minus 125. Looks like the line is tightening up a bit. vsZaychuk opened up minus 170 here. So, yeah, it's a close fight. I'm pretty high on both guys. I'm not sure what happened with Chidi and Njokuani. I'm not sure if he was like training with William Knight in his last camp, because he went out there and just quite frankly just did not show up against Albert Duraev. He should have sparked Albert Duraev. I mean, that fight really made no sense. I'm not sure if like Chidi was worried about the ground game or what, but he went out there and just did nothing against Albert Duraev, who's been finished in like all of his losses, who I don't think is that great. I mean, Chidi should have sparked that guy. So that loss, really makes no sense, and I see why people might be very low on Chidi at this point, because prior to that, man, he was looking like a killer. He was going out there sparking Marc-Andre Barrio in 10 seconds. I mean, this guy, Chidi, I thought he really turned a corner in his career, but with the Duraev performance was not a great look, and then the Rodriguez performance where he had success early but kind of just quit and looked for a way out in that second round. So not really sure where Chidi's head's at this point. Now 34 years old, but we can't deny that this guy has so much power. 80-inch reach. He's going to have a 6-inch reach advantage. vsZaychuk finally moved down to middleweight recently. And yeah, this is a much better weight class for him, obviously than light heavyweight, but he's still going to be massively undersized here. vsZaychuk says he's 6 foot. I say he's a liar. This guy's 5'10" at best. Chidi's going to be towering over vsZaychuk. vsZaychuk, I'm a big fan of the guy, though. I like this guy's style a lot. vsZaychuk's a guy that's just going to march forward the entire time. He's going to throw a lot of volume. He's going to mix it up to the body. He has a lot of power. vsZaychuk is a problem. He has a good chin. Lots of reasons to like vsZaychuk, but I don't like the big size difference. I mean, a 6-inch reach advantage on a fight that is going to stay standing, and I think the matchmakers did a great job here, because people are typically looking to take both of these guys down, but I don't think either guy is going for takedowns here. So these guys are going to stand and bang until one man falls. And at that point, I think it is a close fight, because like I said, I like the body work of vsZaychuk. I think if this fight is extended, it does get extended, it favors vsZaychuk. But, Chidi's so dangerous. So dangerous. So I'm going to pick Chidi and Njokuani here to land a big shot early on. This is probably my least confident pick of the card, but 6-inch reach advantage. He's going to be towering over vsZaychuk. He's going to probably look a whole weight class bigger than vsZaychuk, which is weird, because vsZaychuk has fought at light heavyweight a lot of his career, but still, Chidi's massive, 6'3", massive power. I'll say Chidi lands a big shot in the first round. Chidi and Njokuani, first round knockout, but I think somebody is getting served in this one. Moving on, we got Waldo Cortez Acosta going against Lucas Breski. We got Acosta, 31 years old, 6'4", with a 78-inch reach, 9-1, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Lucas Breski, 31 years old, 6'4", 78-inch reach, 3-1, and 2-2-1 in his last 5 fights. The reason I'm laughing is because of that picture. I mean, he looks nothing like that now. This is kind of what he looks like nowadays. I don't know, you can see it, but it's actually weird. So I was expecting some jacked guy to show up to fight Martin Badoya, but he looked completely different, and that's because he did get popped for PEDs after his Contender Series fight, where he got a 3rd round submission win, and he just looks completely different now. So he's clearly, nowadays, he's not on the juice. But yeah, this is a fight where Waldo Cortez Acosta is a pretty big favorite. Well, he was. So Waldo Cortez Acosta, I swore last night he was like minus 300, and now he's minus 225. So somebody dropped a bomb on Lucas Breski there on the money line. I mean, that's some massive line movement. But Lucas Breski, it's weird with Breski. Like, you watch a lot of his fights on the Contender Series. Like, he's like, and this was when he was on juice. He was like gassing out like in the first 60 seconds. It looked like his mouth was wide open. He was breathing heavy. Like, I'm not sure what was going on with Breski. And then he's a guy that he looks like physically, like visibly tired, but he's able to push through it. He's able to fight through it. It's just a bad look to the judges, and that's kind of why I think he lost his Martin Badoya fight, because he probably won it. He landed, a lot more strikes across 15, but the body language was so bad. Like, he looked so tired after like 2 minutes. So the cardio, I mean, it's weird. Like, he looks bad, but he's one of those guys that can fight through it. And actually, he did a lot of wrestling on the Contender Series, and was able to go out there and get a 3rd round sub. To be fair, Potter didn't tap, but he probably went to sleep at some point. So yeah, Breski, just a weird fighter overall. I don't think he's bad. I really don't. I don't think Breski's a bad fighter. It's just the cardio is like the one thing that kind of worries me, I guess. Waldo Cortez Acosta, a lot of people are high on this guy. I'm not entirely sure why. We went out there, he beat Jared Vandera and Chase Sherman, and then I was able to bet Marcos or Jerry Lima against him at like -150. And that's because, there's clear holes in the game of Waldo Cortez Acosta. The leg kicks are a serious problem. We saw Jared Vandera take advantage of that, Chase Sherman take advantage of that, and then we saw Marcos Uderi de Lima take advantage of that. De Lima was busting up the dude's legs. And then another hole I think is in his game is the takedown defense, the ground game as a whole. So, I see why money's coming in on Breski, although I'm not picking Breski, or I would never bet him. But there are holes in the game of Waldo Cortez Acosta. It's just, can Lucas Breski go out there and land some leg kicks, mix in some takedowns? And I'm not sure. I don't think I can trust Breski to wrestle for 15 minutes. I really don't. This guy's looking tired after 60 seconds. This guy gets tired walking to the cage. So I'm going to pick Waldo. Like, I think this fight's probably going to be terrible. It's going to be sloppy. It's going to be greasy. Breski's going to be tired in the first 20 seconds. Give me Waldo to do the better work on the feet, landing the bigger shots. Volume's probably close across 15. So, yeah, I would caution anybody laying anywhere near -300 on Waldo Cortez Acosta. But in terms of a prediction, give me him to win this fight and win this fight by decision. Moving on, we have Giga Chikadze going against Alex Caceres. We got Giga, 35 years old, 6 foot with a 74-inch reach, 14-3 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Alex Caceres, this guy's 35 years old, 5'10", with a 73.5-inch reach, 21-13 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds. Giga Chikadze is a decent-sized favorite. Open up -190, currently -230, and then Caceres is currently a +195 dog. So I guess the big thing here is we have not seen Giga Chikadze in a year and 4 months. It's been a while since we've seen him. Last time we did see him was against Calvin Kattar, where Calvin Kattar went out there and just dominated him, like one of the biggest beatdowns I've ever seen across 25 minutes. At the very least, Giga did show heart. He showed durability, which was nice, but he got destroyed in that matchup. He's taken a big step down in competition, going from a guy like Calvin Kattar to someone like Alex Caceres. And, Alex Caceres has been on a good run, though. He's 4-1 in his last 5 fights, but I just think it's a pretty bad matchup for Alex Caceres. And I've never been a big Giga Chikadze guy. There's a lot of hype on this guy. I think all the hype has completely left him at this point after the layoff in the Kattar fight. But in this matchup specifically, this is a good fight for Giga Chikadze. Typically when I'm looking to potentially fade Giga, I would look for somebody with wrestling, somebody that's looking to get the fight down to the mat. And that's just not Alex Caceres. That's not his game. I think he's a BJJ black belt, but he doesn't use it, and he's probably not going to use it here. And if he does, I think Giga has the wrestling. At this point, he's made improvements to keep this upright. And then on the feet, it's Giga's going to be the better striker. He's going to have more tools on the feet. He's going to be landing the much harder shots. One of these guys has power. One of these guys really doesn't. So, yeah, I like Giga here to win a kickboxing fight across 15 minutes. Probably goes to decision. Caceres is very tough, but I like Giga Chikadze to get it done. Giga by decision. Moving on, we have Junior Taffa going against Parker Porter. We got Junior Taffa, 26 years old, 6'3", with a 72-inch reach, 4-1, and 4-1 in his only 5 fights. Parker Porter, 38 years old, 6 foot, with a 75-inch reach, 14-8, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Money's pouring in on Junior Taffa. He opened up -180. Went all the way to a pick'em for a couple weeks, and just recently money's pouring in -170 now for Junior Taffa, +145 for Parker Porter. So Junior Taffa dropped the ball for a lot of people against Muhammad Usman. I was actually picking Usman in that matchup, like no confidence whatsoever, but it was just due to the ground game of Junior Taffa. That's a clear hole in his game. I thought initially prior to the Usman fight, but after watching the Muhammad Usman fight, it's a clear hole in his game. We all saw, him get taken down and controlled for like 12 minutes out of a 15-minute fight. So, but every second that fight was standing, and every punch he landed was getting a big reaction out of Muhammad Usman. Like, he was wobbling Usman, did not like the body language of Muhammad Usman when he was getting hit. Junior Tafa has serious power, really good striking. It's just the takedown defense is crap. Parker Porter is a guy that, he is a BJJ black belt, I believe. He's a guy that can go out there and wrestle. I don't think his wrestling's that great, but Parker Porter is going to, in my opinion, have to get this fight down to the mat. One of these guys is very durable, and Junior Tafa. Tafa has shown a very good chin throughout his career, never been knocked out, whereas Parker Porter is the complete opposite. Parker Porter has been finished in every single one of his losses. So, yeah, I think it all comes down to whether Parker Porter is able to control this fight. I mean, he's going to have to control this fight for a really good chunk of it, or finish this fight on the mat. And I don't know. I just don't see really either of those scenarios happening. I think Parker Porter might be able to get a takedown or two, but at some point, I do see this fight being at range. And when it's at range, I think Parker Porter is going to be in serious danger here. So I like Junior Tafa. I like him to knock out Parker Porter. And it's kind of weird what the matchmakers are doing with this one, because obviously Justin Tafa knocked out Parker Porter brutally in the first round. And I think the same exact thing happens. Junior Tafa, first round knockout. I think he knocks out Parker Porter here. Moving on to probably the people's main event here. Aaron Blanchfield going against Tyler Santos. We have Blanchfield, 24 years old, 5'4", with a 68-inch reach, 11-1, 5-0 in her last 5 fights. Tyler Santos, 30 years old, 5'6", with a 68-inch reach. She is 19-2, and she is 4-1 in her last 5 fights. So we'll take a look at the odds here. We have Aaron Blanchfield, who is open at -170, currently -135. And then Tyler Santos, who is currently a +115 underdog. This is a fight that, as a fan, I love and I hate at the same time, right? Like, because I am very high on both these fighters. I really am. And everybody's high on Blanchfield. But Tyler Santos, Tyler Santos arguably could be the flyweight champion of the world right now. Tyler Santos, we all saw her go out there and arguably beat Valentina Shevchenko. It was a close fight, don't get me wrong, but I personally did slightly score it for Tyler Santos. And just even the fact that she was competitive and it went to such a close decision, I think her stock really rose, in my eyes at least. So that was a great performance for Tyler Santos there. Blanchfield, somebody that everybody's very high on. She's somebody that has been going out there and just looking incredible. Starching Molly McCann in a fight that everybody was looking at, watching. Molly McCann was somebody that was slowly becoming a star, and Blanchfield just took that stardom from her. And then she went out there and sparked my girl Jessica Andrade in the second round. So yeah, Blanchfield's been looking good, but as has Tyler Santos. The thing here is, Tyler Santos, we have not seen her in a while. I'm not sure why she hasn't fought in so long. The last time she did fight was last year against Valentina Shevchenko, whereas Blanchfield, she has fought twice since the last time Santos did fight. In terms of these fighters and their ceilings, I think they both have, are championship caliber. Like I said, Santos arguably could be the champion, and Blanchfield is going to be the champion in the very near future. I think if Blanchfield fought Grasso, I like Blanchfield in that fight, and I think if Blanchfield fought Valentina at this point of Valentina's career, I think Blanchfield could probably get her, and if not now, in the very near future. So yeah, I think Blanchfield will be champion, but she's only 24. She's only 24 years old. So in terms of ceilings between these two, I think Blanchfield has a much, much higher ceiling. It's scary that Blanchfield is only 24 years old. She's going to be improving. She's a BJJ black belt. Her striking looked much, much improved against Jessica Andrade. She was going strike for strike against a killer and Jessica Andrade. I think Blanchfield is a problem right now, and she's going to continue to be a problem for the next 10 years. Blanchfield could be champion for a very, very long time, in my opinion. Her skill set is very good, and she's making those serious improvements. But Tyler Santos is really good as well. So in terms of making a pick, because I have to make a pick, I really don't want to make a pick, to be honest. But I will make a pick, and I will not be betting this fight. I'm going to sit back and watch this one. A lot of people are going to be planting their flags on either side. A lot of people are going to be on Blanchfield, and a lot of people probably are going to be on that dog money of Santos. But in terms of a pure prediction, I'm going to take Blanchfield. I'm going to take the upset of Blanchfield. I like that she's been more active. I like that she's younger. I think we can see even more improvements out of Blanchfield, whereas with Tyler Santos, at 30 years old, I'm not expecting to see a ton of improvements. And, Blanchfield, she's cold-blooded. I mean, it's her nickname, cold-blooded, and she is indeed cold-blooded, whereas with Santos, I'm not sure if she's cold-blooded. I mean, if you lose to Mara Barella, that doesn't really sound cold-blooded to me. And she did come out with, like, excuses at the end of the fight. But, I mean, somebody who's cold-blooded, wouldn't make excuses. And then she also pulled out of the Blanchfield fight a couple months ago because her corner, I think it was her husband or something, wasn't able to make the fight because of visa issues. Blanchfield wouldn't pull out of a fight. I mean, so that's not really cold-blooded of Santos to do that. So, close fight. Both fighters are very good. Give me Blanchfield ever so slightly to get this one done. And we'll see if she's leveled up again. I really thought she leveled up, during the Andrade fight. The striking looked incredible. We'll see if we can see a new wrinkle in the game of Blanchfield this time around. Blanchfield by decision, but not a ton of confidence. Santos is no joke. She's very good. All right, moving on to a fight that should not be sanctioned, and somebody needs fired. But we have Rinya Nakamura going against Fernie Garcia. You got Rinya Nakamura, 28 years old, 5'7", with a 68-inch reach, 7-0, 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Fernie Garcia, 31 years old, 5'7", with a 67-inch reach, 10-3 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. We have Rinya Nakamura opening up minus 450, currently minus 800. Fernie Garcia opening up plus 350. Currently plus 550. I mean, I think everybody sees what the UFC is doing here. Are they bringing in Fernie Garcia to Singapore, putting him on the main card to build him up? Are they doing that? Or are they bringing in Fernie Garcia all the way to Singapore, putting it on the main card to build up Rinya Nakamura? I mean, I think it's pretty easy to see what's going on here. Rinya Nakamura, this guy is very good. I think this guy is going to be a star. I really do. This guy has an incredible wrestling background. The wrestling's amazing. The grappling is amazing. The striking, the power is all very, very good. This guy Nakamura is really well-rounded. And it's actually kind of sad, man. I mean, I don't know if the matchmakers, took a look at Fernie Garcia, watched his fights, and they're like, okay, who's like the worst possible matchup we can give this Fernie Garcia guy? Because you take a look at his fights, like he's getting taken down by Journey Newson. He's getting controlled for like 12 minutes against Brady Heastand. And what I think is funny about this matchup is that Rinya Nakamura is like a much better and much more dangerous version of Brady Heastand. And Fernie got dominated by him. So, I mean, I don't know what's going on here. I mean, this fight should not be sanctioned. I feel really bad for Fernie Garcia, actually. Like, he's on a 2-fight skid. You would think, hey, I'm on a 2-fight skid. Why not, take a, winnable matchup? But no, he's taking the worst possible matchup here with Rinya Nakamura. So, I'm not sure if the UFC is cutting him a deal, saying, oh, take this fight and you get another fight or what. But, I mean, this is just a bad decision by Fernie Garcia to take this fight. So, yeah, give me a Rinya Nakamura to win this fight, and I don't think this fight leaves the first round. I think it's a tough matchup for Fernie Garcia. I think Nakamura can knock him out on the feet. I think he can take him down, TKO him, sub him, really whatever Nakamura feels like doing. So, yeah, I think Nakamura is the future. I really do, and I think he goes out there and styles on Fernie Garcia and gets it done in round 1. All right, moving on to the co-main event. We got Ryan Spann going against Anthony Smith. Got Ryan Spann, 32 years old, 6'5", with an 81.5-inch reach, 21-8 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Anthony Smith, 35 years old, 6'4", with a 76-inch reach, 36-18 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Very closely lined fight here. Ryan Spann minus 130, Anthony Smith plus 110. And this matchup to me makes no sense. I mean, this matchup makes absolutely no sense. I saw this fight was announced a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like, what? Like, did they not watch the first fight? I mean, Anthony Smith crushed Ryan Spann, and that fight wasn't too long ago. Like, so this fight, I mean, it makes no sense. The only thing I could think of is maybe this could be Anthony Smith's retirement fight. I mean, this guy Anthony Smith has like 54 fights. This is a guy Anthony Smith who working for the UFC at this point. A good analyst. He really is. He does a really good job. And he just kind of looks uninterested at this point. he went out there and got finished by Ankalaev, and then in the Walker fight, I think that was kind of the last straw for me. I was at that fight live, and just a very questionable performance from Anthony Smith in that Walker fight. It just looked like he didn't want to be there, which is weird to say about Anthony Smith, because Anthony Smith is a guy that you would never question his toughness, his willingness to fight, but he was looking for a way out in that Walker fight, and he was getting kicked in the legs, and he was really looking for the door, but luckily for Anthony Smith, Walker just wouldn't do anything. I mean, Anthony Smith was dead to rights, and Walker was just kind of, dancing in front of him. I mean, just a terrible fight. Keith Peterson was even looking to, probably stop the fight, but just Walker wouldn't let off at any point. Maybe Walker felt bad for Anthony Smith or what. And then, during the fight, Anthony Smith was talking to Walker, talking about how, Walker's attacking his family or something, and Walker was extremely confused. I'm worried for Anthony Smith. I really am. This is a guy in Smith who's just taken a ton of damage throughout his career. This is a guy in Smith who's has so many fights on his career, so many finished losses on his career. He's 35 years old. So yeah, I think this might be the last fight of Smith. I'm not sure if it's it's his last fight. Let's give him a winnable fight. And they're thinking, oh, he beat Ryan Spann. Maybe we'll give him Ryan Spann again. That's the only thing I can really think of. I'm not sure why this rematch is happening. I mean, I don't think anybody asked for this rematch. So, yeah, we'll see how it plays out. In terms of making a pick, I'm actually taking Spann. I figured he'd be the dog because of how the first fight played out, but I just think Smith just is completely uninterested in this fight. Maybe this is a fight that he wants and he'll be motivated for, but I don't know. Give me Ryan Spann to knock out Anthony Smith in the first round, but this is a weird fight that I don't know I'll be having too much action on. I don't like the durability of Smith these days. Ryan Spann's dangerous wherever the fight goes. Give me Ryan Spann to spark Anthony Smith. And by the way, in the first fight, Anthony Smith did catch Ryan Spann early, and Ryan Spann just never seemed to recover. So I'm not sure if that... I mean, that was actually weird because Anthony Smith is not really knocking anybody down, or he doesn't have a ton of power. So that was actually kind of weird. Don't know if that happens twice. So yeah, I'm going to take Ryan Spann to finish Anthony Smith in the very first round. I'm not really sure why this fight's happening. It should be fun, but I'm not sure what's going on here. Moving on to the main event. I did do a main event breakdown. If you guys want to check it out, I went further into detail here. But got Max Holloway going against Korean Zombie. Another fight that borderline, in my opinion, should probably not be sanctioned. We have Max Holloway, 31 years old, 5'11", with a 69-inch reach, 24-7, 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Korean Zombie, 36 years old, 5'7", with a 72-inch reach, 17-7, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. I don't know. I mean, it's a tough matchup for the Korean Zombie. I mean, how does the Korean Zombie win this fight? Does he out-volume Max Holloway? No. Nobody does that besides Volkanovski. Does he take down Max Holloway? No. Korean Zombie has 3 takedowns ever, and nobody's taken down Max Holloway. Does he knock out Max Holloway? No. Nobody does that, not even Volkanovski. So I'm just not sure how the Korean Zombie wins this fight or has much success at all. Both these guys have taken an incredible amount of damage, but Max Holloway, I still think, has a lot more left in the tank than Korean Zombie at this point. I just have not liked how the Korean Zombie's looked in his last couple fights, like the Brian Ortega fight, which at this point was 3 years ago. He looked awful in that fight, getting just dominated across 25 in the striking by Brian Ortega, getting dropped twice in the striking by Brian Ortega. Just was not a great look at all. And then he, the Volkanovski fight, which I get it, it's Volkanovski. He looked bad in that matchup. I mean, it wasn't even competitive. He didn't have any moments at all. Volkanovski just dominated him, and I didn't like how Korean Zombie was reacting to a lot of these punches that were landing, and he took another beating in that match. I mean, a life-changing beating in that Volkanovski fight. It reminded me a lot of the Gaethje Ferguson fight, where Gaethje just beat the crap out of Ferguson across 22, 23 minutes, and the ref finally stopped. It was kind of the same thing there, where Volkanovski was hurting this guy left and right, almost finishing him in multiple rounds, and finally the ref said, that's enough. So that probably took a lot out of the Korean Zombie, and now he's going against Holloway, who's not really a power puncher, but Holloway is a guy that can land upwards of 150 to 200 to 300 to even, we've seen him land 445 significant strikes in a fight. I'm not sure the Korean Zombie takes 150 to 200 strikes from anybody at this point. So again, it's a fight that I think probably shouldn't be happening. I would like to see the Korean Zombie fight somebody, not Max Holloway, not some of these top guys like Volkanovski. I don't want to see him fight like an Arnold Allen. I don't want to see him fight any of these guys. I mean, take a little bit of a step back, because I do think he's more than approaching the end of his career at this point, which is sad to say. I'm a big Korean Zombie fan, but I just don't like his chances in this matchup. But give me Max Holloway, 3rd, 4th, or 5th round knockout. I think he knocks out the Korean Zombie at some point. Could see a corner stoppage, a doctor stoppage, and the ref just saying, I mean, that's enough. I mean, you've got hit 300 times. I think we need to stop the fight. I guess it's something like that happening. So give me Max Holloway to win this fight. Late round finish. There you have it. Broke it all down. If you guys could, please do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, I'll be going live later in the week, live Friday for some final thoughts, and then live Saturday once again for the best bet show. Best of luck for UFC Singapore. We will talk to you guys very soon, and see you later.